Hello everyone. This is grade 7 natural science, and we are looking at biodiversity. In our previous lesson, we looked at the plant kingdom and plant diversity, and we focused most on the first part, which was plant without seeds. Okay, so today we are going to look at plants with seeds, and we call them spermatophytes. Okay, so plant with seeds are different or are classified into two categories or two types. We've got coniferous plants and we've got flowering plants. Okay, and the flowering plants still are divided into two: monocotyledonous plants and dicotyledonous plants. Okay, so today we are going to focus on these two, and if time permits, we are going to look at the two types of flowering plant. So we will start with the coniferous plants, which are cone-bearing plants. Okay, so those are plants with seeds. Why are we still on the plants without seeds? Okay, because I just wanted to give a background. Okay, so today we are looking at plants that produces, or the cone-bearing plants, and they are called gymnosperms. Okay, so they say that gymnosperms are cone-bearing plants. They have naked or uncovered seeds. Okay, worldwide, more than 1,000 gymnosperm species are found. A very known example is pine tree. South Africa has many indigenous gymnosperm species. These species are mostly scarce and are protected by strict laws. Okay, the best known South African gymnosperms are the following: the yellowwood, the cycad, and the cedar tree. Okay, now we also have a very interesting gymnosperm. Let's read on the interesting fact. They said a very well-known example of gymnosperm is a plant that grows in the desert parts of Namibia, which is the welwitschia. Okay, welwitschia plant is a well-known gymnosperm, and they say it grows in the desert part of Namibia. I just want to show you before we go to the pine tree. Okay, so let me show you the welwitschia. They say it grows in Namibia. Let's see this. I would like you to have a glimpse of this plant. Okay, here is the plant, the welwitschia. Okay, so let's just see the welwitschia. They say more than, I just want to go back and I read the subtitles there. More than 80% of this plant is hidden underground. The stem may be up to 1 meter wide and 50 centimeter high. The welwitschia has only 2 long leaves. They weathered by wind and heat, so they look like many leaves, but it's just 2 leaves. The taproot can grow as deep as 30 meters, so that's equivalent to the height of a 10-story building underground. See how long it is? Welwitschia grow only in the Namibian desert and Angola. The welwitschia appears above the motto of Namibia coat of arms. I hope you have enjoyed the clips just to see the welwitschia tree, or the welwitschia plant, which is the very well-known example of gymnosperms. Okay, So this is it, you can see it here, but we have seen a rough video of it. Now what we are going to focus on in our lesson, we are going to, as our cone bearing plant, we are going to look at the pine tree. You know, the pine tree, normally we get those little cones that we use for decorations. Okay, so now let's read about the pine tree. They say there are two types of cones on the branches of the pine tree. Okay, I did not know that, but let's read. Two types of cones are found in the branches of the pine tree. The small cones at the end of the young branches are the male cones. The male cones occur in large groups and are then pollen sacs. Okay, so the most cones that you will have in the tree is going to be the male cones, and they are the pollen sacs. Okay, so so they carry the pollen. The wind blows the pollen to the female cones. Okay, when wind comes, it will blow the pollen to the female cones. The female cones are larger than male cones. Okay, in terms of the size, they are larger. They are not thin like the male cones. These cones, okay, are alone or in groups of 2 or 3. Okay, so the female one are few, and they can be alone, or it can be 1 or 2 in one area. The seed is carried on the top surface of each scale of the female cone. Okay, each seed has a paper-like wing that helps it to be spread by the wind. When the seeds are ripe, the scales on the cone open and the seeds fall out to be spread. Okay, I will explain this. Let us just try to go on. These are the young female cones. I will show you that are still green, and the mature female cones that have opened. Okay, and they say, okay, I don't want to read this. I want to show you now the pine tree. Before I go here, I want to show the pine tree. I hope I have it. Yes, I have the diagram here. Now we look at, this is the pine tree, and this one, the thinner, longer ones, are the male cones. Okay, and they carry the pollen. Okay, we call them the pollen sacs, SACS. Okay, sac as in a bag. And these are the female cones, but this one has already opened up. Okay, so now when there is wind, the wind will blow pollen out of this male cone. Okay, let's look at that. So the pollen will be blown up from the male cone, and the pollen will be transported to the female cone. And the female cone, the seeds will be lying there, and the female cone will open, and the seed will get in and fertilize the seeds inside the female. Okay, so once the seed on the female is fertilized and matured, those cone will open up and the seeds will fall out again, and it will be looking like that. You see? So now I want us to see again a quick video of this interesting fact. Okay, let's go for it. Now we are looking, no, I don't want the Velveeta video. I am looking for the one of the pine trees. Yes, this is the one. Okay, let's go.
Before there was this, and this, and this, and this, and this, there was this.
There we
The
go.
humble pine cone. It's more than a Christmas decoration. It's an ancient form of tree sex. This is a female pine cone.
You see the
This
female?
cone is male.
Male.
Most cone-bearing trees, they're called conifers, produce both kinds, and each cone has a job to do. Males, that's easy. They just make pollen, lots of it, and let the wind spread it around. Females hold the seeds. They're tucked deep in there, inside each of those armor-like scales. She has to protect them, keep them from being eaten. Be like a fortress. But seeds also have to be exposed at some point in order to catch pollen and be fertilized. So this humble pinecone has an amazing trick. For a short time, early in her development, she opens her scales just slightly to let the pollen in. Then she closes them back up while the seeds mature. But when the seeds are ready, her scales flex and stretch. They open to release the seeds, which grow up into the next generation of trees. It's a good strategy. The largest living things in the world, the oldest, they all reproduce with pine cones. Conifers have been...
I hope you've seen the female and the male cone there, and how the female cone keeps the seeds until they are fertilized, and after that it can release them once they are fertilized, and we can have another set of trees going up. Okay, now they say here the most common features of all gymnosperms are seed-carrying plants with cones instead of flowers. They separate male and female cones. Seeds are formed inside female cones, and they are evergreen plants. The pine trees, I've always seen them, we've got them around my house. They are evergreen. And they say on the quick facts, evergreen plants do not lose their leaves in winter. Now let's read about the yellowwood tree, the interesting facts about it. They say the yellowwood tree, 4 species of yellowwood tree are found in South Africa. The real yellowwood is South Africa's national tree. This tree grows up to 35 meters high. Wow. It grows relatively slowly, but the wood is of exceptionally high quality and is used for making beautiful furniture. That is the yellowwood tree. The Atnica yellowwood is called the giant of the forest. It can grow as high as 60 meters. Wow. It is South Africa's tallest tree. These trees can become up to 600 years old. This tree grows only about 1 meter per year. Yeah. Here are the example of a true yellowwood tree and its leaves. Okay, you see it here, although it is in black and white. Okay, all right, we are still looking at our cone bearing plants. Now we are going to look at our second type of seed bearing plants. The first one, it was the cone bearing plant, and now we are looking at the second one, which are called the angiosperms. The first one were the gymnosperms, and these ones are angiosperms. Angiosperms means means seed that is found in a container. Seed plants can be divided as follow. It means the seed of an angiosperm, we found it in a container. The seeds can be divided as follows. Okay, so we have monocotyledons and dicotyledons. Okay, 2 different types of seeds, and this is all we get it from the flowering plants, okay, which are angiosperm. The cone-bearing plants are gymnosperm, and this one are flowering plants, angiosperms. We have monocotyledons and dicotyledons. Let's see. For example, monocotyledon is a maize, and the example of dicotyledon is a sweet pea. Okay, All right, let's get to the explanation. They say flowering plants, which are angiosperms, all have the following properties. They bear flowers. All the flowers have a stigma onto which the pollen of the plant falls. All the flowers have a stigma onto which the pollen of the plant falls. Okay, so pollen of the plant will fall to the stigma. The ovule, which develop into a seed later, is surrounded by an ovary. The ovary later develops into a fruit. Okay, from ovule that is surrounded by ovary, then the ovary later develops into a fruit. Okay, let me scroll up a bit as we are learning about our flowering plants. South Africa has more than 20,000 different indigenous plants. That is approximately 10% of all plant species on Earth. This means that South Africa's flora is very rich in biodiversity. Examples of monocotyledonous plant are sugarcane, bulrushes, and agapanthus. An example of dicotyledonous examples of dicotyledonous plants are fig tree, proteobos, and geraniums. Okay, and then let's compare between monocotyledonous plant and dicotyledonous plant. Now we have examples. We will have an example for monocotyledons, and we will have example of dicotyledon. Okay, now let's look. The first example for monocotyledon, we have maize. The seed consists of one lobe only. Okay, it does not burst open when the seed germinates. And the bean plant, 2 dicotyledons or lobes, and cotyledons are special fat leaves which provide food to the germinating seed. Okay, and we have looked at the seed. We are looking at the roots for maize now. The roots are, they say they are adventitious roots. Roots all grow out of the bottom end or base of the stem. Okay, and then on the bean plant, which is a dicotyledon, we have a taproot system. See, we have a taproot. From the taproot, smaller lateral roots spread to the sides. Lateral roots branch several times. You can see it branches, but this one they call it adventitious roots. Adventitious roots, yes. And then we look at the stem for the maize, which is the monocotyledon. They say the stem is green and soft, round, and is not branched. Okay, the stem is not branched. Can you see that? It is clear, thickened parts occur on the stem. These are called the nodes. Part between the nodes is called the internode. Leaves grow out of the nodes. Okay, these are the nodes where leaves grow. The bean plant, dicotyledon, the stem is soft, green, and flexible. Main stem branches. The stem branches, okay, and is divided into internodes and nodes. Leaves grow out of the nodes as well. Larger dicotyledon plants can also have woody stems. Stems carries leaves, flowers, and fruit seed. Stems keep the plant upright, and stem is channel through which water and nutrients can be transported. Okay, and let's look at the leaves now. The leaves for the maize, the leaf does not have a petiole. Okay, the leaf base is curled around the stem to form a leaf shape. Ribbon shaped leaf blade. It has got a ribbon shaped leaf blade. The veins of the leaf do not branch but run parallel to each other. Simple leaves and smooth edges. Let's look at the bean plant. Simple green leaves attached to the stem with a petiole, heart-shaped and have smooth edge. Veins on the leaf form a network. Okay, and we look at the flowers. The maize plant does not have big bright flowers. Features of a typical monocot plant flower, for example lily, they have no separate sepals, therefore no green leaves at the base of the flower. Flowers are all three-tiered. And then the bean plant have separate sepal and petals, therefore small green sepals at the base of the flower, and flowers are four-tiered or five-tiered. And we look at the fruit for each. In the ripe ovary, the fruit is in the ripe ovary. There will be 3 locules if cut open. Okay, these seeds will occur in the locules, a cross section of a ripe ovary, a monocot fruit. Okay, and then the bean plant ripe ovary has 4 or 5 locules. Okay, seeds occur in these locules. The 5 locules with seeds inside can be seen clearly. A bean, however, has only 1 locule. The seeds are arranged in a single row. And other examples of monocotyledon are clevias or forest lilies, flame lily, aloe, Christmas roses, hen and chicks, I don't know these ones, reeds. And examples of dicotyledons are pincushion protea, a king protea, sweet pea, roses, and frangipani. Okay, so these are the example of the flowering plants. This brings us to the end of our lesson on plants with seeds and the flowering type of plants. Okay, remember we've got plants with seeds and plants without seeds. Okay, and under plant with seeds we've got cone bearing plants which are gymnosperms, and we've got flowering plants which are angiosperms. And this brings it to the end of our lesson, and it is the end of our unit biodiversity that we started. Okay, so this brings us to the end of our unit biodiversity. Okay, thank you.